so I'm working at the hairdressers one day, and these two girls come in, and they're like, "Oh, we love your look. Will you style us?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just sweep up and make the tea. I don't do hair." And they're like, "Will you style our clothes?" And I had never heard of it before, so I took them shopping and helped them out. And I was like, "Oh, there's this thing like a job called a stylist. I'm going to do that." So that was a real moment for me. I was like, "Oh, it combines my love of music, and I don't really have any musical talent, but fashion and music is great. I'll do that."
They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out. Yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating. I'm lost in the moment. I swear I could levitate.
Yo, what's up, people? Welcome back to another episode. It's your boy Sbpress on the latest version of Express Yourself with Sbpress. And today I have a very near and dear friend of mine and an amazing artist, but not just an artist of any. Style is impeccable. His defense is impregnable. And his artistry is ferocious. And on this episode, we're about to eat you guys alive. So let's go ahead and welcome the David Thomas.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for being here. And this is long overdue, very long overdue. I can't say thank you enough, but I will be thanking you a lot. So just stay tuned for that.
Okay.
But first, let's go ahead and, let the audience know where you're originally from and a little bit about your background.
I come from a village called Churchtown in a town called Gloucestershire. Well, a county, like a state called Gloucestershire. It's like 100 miles from London. I don't know if you know the map of England, but it's kind of underneath Wales. So, southwest of London, about 100 miles.
Gives me a little Nova Scotia vibes.
It's a small village near a small town, but not unusual in the UK.
And you come from a pretty big family or a small family?
I just have one sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, older or younger?
She's older than me.
Because I want to know who gave you your inspiration for styling in general. Who was the inspiration in your household early on?
Oh, my grandmother, I think. Because my grandmother in the war they used to make clothes out of parachutes and stuff because there was like fabric rationing and nobody had much money. So she had a job making clothes out of old parachutes, I think after the war. And then because they didn't have much money, they used to make all their own clothes. And my mum used to sew as well. But my grandmother used to take me out on a Saturday morning and I could choose the fabric and pick the pattern and she would make my clothes. So I was kind of surrounded by people that made everything, that. And I guess that was my younger self. And then when I got into my teens, I kind of forgot all about that a little bit and tried to just conform, like you do. It was only later on when I was in my late teens that I kind of discovered fashion styling by chance.
Okay. So basically mom, grandma was your inspiration behind what's going on today.
Yeah, my mum.
It's amazing.
I don't have a memory of it, but my mum says that when I was a toddler, I used to pick out her shoes to go with her dresses or whatever, and I would have like a little toddler tantrum if she didn't wear
pretty much
what
came
I
out the
wanted.
room styling.
But I think that was my natural kind of vibe. But then, like I say, in my teenage years, I kind of forgot all about that.
Okay. So we're still on the family part and stuff like that. How motivational in pushing you towards, this amazing journey of a life that your mom has been a part of?
My parents were quite unusual compared to my friends' parents in that they never pushed us to do anything. Like, they just wanted us to find our thing and be happy, and whatever that was, they would support us, both myself and my sister. So I left school when I was 16. I didn't, perform very well at school, and I had a careers interview, and they were like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And I didn't know. So they were like, "Well, what does your father do?" My dad's a teacher, and they're like, "Oh, you're not smart enough for that. So I don't know, what about your grandfather?" And I was like, "Oh, he's a plumber." So they were like, "Oh, we'll get you some interviews to be an apprentice plumber." And so I ended up interviewing to be an apprentice plumber and getting that job when I was before I'd even done my exams at the end of school. So that's kind of my course. And then that was like 3 or 4 years of college, day release, and working on the building site. My parents went to Africa to do some good work.
I'm sure.
Building water dams and school. And when they're away, I gave up plumbing and got a job as a hairdresser in my local town, which was kind of like a step in the right direction. So when they came back, I was like, oh, I'm a hairdresser now.
Add some style to it, yeah.
And I did that for about a year, and then I really sort of, I just wanted to get out of that small town, and I sort of saved up and ran away to London. I saved up £30. That's like $50 or something.
Yeah.
Maybe $40, and had a backpack and just ran off to London. And I wanted to like find my people.
Now, how old were you when you ran off to London at this point?
19. I mean, quite old to run away, but
yeah, I
anyway.
mean, pretty much, yeah. At that point, you're
no
grown.
one really understood. You know, there was a recession. It was like I was supposed, I was supposed to be grateful that I had a job, and I guess I felt the pressure that this was like a family tradition that I was carrying on that I didn't want to do. So I just decided to leave.
And do you?
Yeah.
The rest is history.
Yeah. So I didn't discover fashion right away. I worked in, my first job I got was in Tower Records.
Mm-hmm.
They just opened in London, and then I went to like a perfumery.
Yeah.
Okay.
A shop with
sell
perfume.
and soap, and that was pretty cool. I met some interesting people because they had like quite an interesting clientele. It was a kind of fancy store in a street called German Street, which is traditionally where shirts are sold and made, and ties. It's kind of weird like that. And people like Brian Ferry, who's the singer from Roxy Music, used to come in and get the stuff for his hair. And then I don't know if you know who Divine is, but he's an American, or was an American kind of actor, drag queen, whatever. He used to come and was friends with the manager. It's so weird. And he would take me for tea at Fortnum and Mason, which is kind of this fancy place. So I kind of got a taste of like other stuff when I was there. Then I left there and I went to a store called Hyper, which was like a market with all different units of young fashion designers selling stuff. And I think that's where I kind of discovered fashion for the first time, really. So
how many hours outside of work was you really putting into your passion for fashion?
I liked clothes. I still didn't know what I was going to do. I was I was like a shop boy, you know what I mean? But I had this idea that I didn't really fit in my village or my hometown, and I wasn't kind of cool enough for London because I had like a farmer accent. And
London wasn't cool enough for you.
So I was like, oh, I don't fit in here either. So I was actually born in America, so I was like, I'm American.
Mm-hmm.
Of course I don't fit in. I'm going to save up and go and live in New York. And I saved my money. And after a year in London, I moved to New York.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I discovered fashion styling.
Now, how did you come around your first big niche and break in fashion?
So I was in New York. I had 3 jobs just to survive. I was living in quite a dodgy area called Alphabet City. It was kind of scary at the time. So in the mornings, I worked in a cafe, at a dance studio. And in the afternoons, I worked at a hairdresser's, sweeping up the hair and making tea in Soho. And in the evenings, occasionally, I was the backing vocalist for a band called Steve Fraser and the Wild Hearts, right? So that was kind of my life. But the apartment, there were 4 of us from the UK in one room. That's 3 guys and a girl, 1 school friend, and 2 friends that I'd met at Hyper. And so we had 2 beds and 2 in a bed in this. We had 1 room in a 2-bedroom apartment. It was hard. And then, so I'm working at the hairdressers one day, and these 2 girls come in and they're like, "Oh, you know, we love your look. Will you style us?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just sweep up and make the tea. I don't do hair." And they're like, "You know, will you style our clothes?" And I had never heard of it before, so I took them shopping and helped them out. And I was like, "Oh, there's this thing like a job called a stylist. I'm going to do that." So that was a real moment for me. I was like, "Oh, it combines my love of music, and so I don't really have any musical talent, but fashion and music is great. I'll do that." But I was broke and I was kind of stuck in New York because I bought a one-way ticket. But one of my friends, my school friend Bish, that was with me, us, you know, one of the people that we all lived together, he loved New York and he had bought a return ticket. So he was like, "I'm going to stay, so you can take my ticket if you want." So I was like, "Shit, okay, I'll do that." Used the last of my money to get to JFK with his ticket. And then, so when it came to check in, I pretended that I couldn't find my passport, and I fucked around for a bit. And then at the last minute, they were like, "If you don't go, you're gonna miss the flight." And I kind of flashed my passport, so I managed to get on the plane with his ticket. Thank God, because otherwise I would have been stuck at JFK.
It would have been a different course of life you would have been on, possibly.
So I came back, went home, surprised my parents, obviously, because we didn't have cell phones then, and explained, I figured it out, this is what I'm going to do, and started working in a clothes store to save money to go back to London, where I thought I could be an assistant and get a start. My dad suggested that I apply to this charity called the Prince's Trust, which helps disadvantaged young people start their own business or gain employment or whatever. And I applied for a grant and got that grant. And I used that money to do a little portfolio of like test shots, they're called. So like I got some girlfriends to model and went to local stores to borrow clothes and styled up outfits, kind of to show what I could do. And got somebody from the local art college to take the pictures, because essentially I couldn't go to college to do fashion because I wasn't qualified enough. So I had to find another way in. And then I went to London, and then I wrote over 100 letters. At the time there was this book, this is pre-internet, called The Creative Handbook, and it would list all the makeup artists, all the hairdressers, all the stylists and the set designers. And I wrote over 100 letters to the stylists in this book, and just saying, can I come and work for you to get experience? And I would basically do it for nothing, because I figured that was my only way in.
I guess the experience was the pay at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I had a job in a nightclub, the Hippodrome nightclub in Leicester Square, and I was the toilet attendant, basically, with the towels and the flowers and the aftershave and all that. And then at the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I washed up at a cafe in Covent Garden, and I had just enough money to basically be free Monday to Friday in the daytime to assist for no money.
If I could describe you with one word right now, perseverance.
Yeah.
Definitely persevered, and still throughout all the odds, you still was making things happen and working hard, and not just sleeping through your dreams, actually running towards them and living through them.
Yeah, I think I was pretty fearless, and I was sure I was going to do it some way, you know what I mean, somehow. It was cool. And then as I got more into it, the people I'd written to did commercials and this and that, and the people I wanted to work for, the stylists I wanted to work for, worked for Vogue or ID magazine or dressed musicians and stuff. So I kind of started to figure out who those people were and kind of target them. So there was this one stylist who was also a jewelry designer called Judy Blame, and he was Boy George's stylist, and I was a huge George fan, a Culture Club fan. So I somehow managed to get hold of his phone number, and I used to call and say, "Hey, can I assist you for nothing, be the second assistant or whatever?" And it was always a no, and I just kept ringing. And eventually one day he was like, "Sure, you can come along on the shoot or whatever." And then I ended up working my way up to being his first assistant. And then when he became busy with an artist called Nena Cherry, who had a huge album in like 1989 and started this in 88. I became George's stylist. So I was really young. I was like 22 when I started, probably 23, and I was Boy George's stylist. Right? So it happened pretty quick.
That was pretty cool. Pretty amazing. I hope you guys are soaking this up and writing this down in your notebooks, handy dandy notebooks.
He wasn't the only person that I assisted, though. I worked, there was another man called Ian R. Webb who had been the fashion editor of a magazine called Blitz that I really loved.
Mm-hmm.
And he had got a new job on the Evening Standard newspaper. So he was a little bit more, was Judy did like ID and pop stars and was kind of that end of it. Ian was a bit more establishment. And I thought I could learn stuff from him. But he would never take my phone calls, ever. So somebody had told me that he was going to be at this fashion party and I should go and find him and speak to him in person. But I wasn't invited. Somebody else I was chatting to was like, oh, yeah, I know how you get in. You just walk in backwards really slowly and you'll be fine if you just look. And I did literally walk in backwards really slowly, get across the party, found him. And I was like, oh, you know, my name's David and I've been trying to call you. I want to be your assistant. And he kind of looked at me weird and he was like, because I said, you never take my call. And he said, if you call tomorrow, I'll take the call. And then just whizzed off. And so I called him and I spoke to him and he said, well, I'm starting a new job as the fashion director of this magazine called Riva and we're fully staffed, but you can be the intern. So I started interning there as well. And then...
And this is 89, 90?
Yeah, 88, 89.
Okay.
And then the third person I wanted to work for was called Isabella Blow. She worked at Vogue at the time. I couldn't get hold of her, but she actually got in touch with Judy and said, I'm doing this video. Can I borrow your assistant? So I got to meet her. She famously discovered Alexander McQueen and Philip Tracy, the hat designer, and stuff like that. So
heavy hitters.
Yeah, so I got a lot of different experience from different people. You know, like she was at Vogue. She took me on a shoot to Paris and we shot with Karl Lagerfeld, who kind of liked me and took my portrait, and I got to know the kind of Paris side of it. Ian was working on a weekly magazine, which is kind of, it was called Riva, but it's kind of like Grazia, if you've ever seen that. It's like a...
It sounds familiar.
It's like a weekly women's fashion lifestyle. So there was a constant in and out of clothes, lots of shoots every week, because most magazines are monthly and they have like 4 weeks to figure it out.
More ways to get your work out there and get it seen.
So I was running the fashion cupboard there, which was basically like Devil's Wears, really. You know, like all the clothes that come in, you have to log them in and hang them up and unpack them and then pack them up and send them back, basically.
Oh, there's somebody here who definitely knows a lot about that. Yeah. Go ahead, Queen behind the scenes. We got Jai in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Yeah, she is also a stylist herself. And I want to say, keep going. Keep working hard. I see the work and I love it.
Thank you.
No problem at all.
Yeah, surely if I can do it, you can do it.
Oh, yeah, I love hearing your story.
Yeah, so that's how I kind of got in. So 22 when I got the grant, came back from America, got the grant when I was 22, went to London, really tried to get as much experience as I could, and then things just started happening after that for me, you know.
Okay. So you kind of elaborated to a few names that you've worked with. I conjured up a few of my personal favorites that I've seen throughout the year, or so forth and so forth. It's also a part of my new segment called Blast from the Past. So I have a few things that you personally designed, styled, and worked on. And I just want to say it's really cool and an honor to be sitting here with you. And also, again, this is a regular conversation for me because we've had this conversation for a while now.
Yeah, well, we talk every day at the gas station. That's true.
Again, you're part of this style that I'm wearing right now too, as well.
That's one of my jackets. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, Jai, can we go ahead and drop the first one? Now this image right here. Go ahead and elaborate on that gentleman and
Dr. Dre.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll explain how we got there. I'm 22. I work for these people. I started styling people on my own. And then when I'm 24, I get a phone call out of the blue saying, we're opening this new magazine in London called Esquire magazine. Would you like to be the fashion editor? So after 2 years of assisting and starting to do my own thing, suddenly I'm the youngest fashion editor in the world at the time for Esquire. So I worked for Esquire, and I kind of fell into the menswear world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm telling you that is because when I moved to America 20 years ago, I was kind of known for menswear, and I'd been fashion editor for Esquire and American Esquire and Vogue Homme in Paris and Le Uomo Vogue in Italy and Vogue Homme International and Interview in New York, right? So I'm known for menswear, and I obviously know the people at British GQ, but I'm in LA. And fashion kind of changed from when I started to now, when it was all about models then, and now it's really celebrity-led. So GQ would shoot a lot of their covers for the British GQ in LA because that's where the talent was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd been asked to do a lot of covers for them, but one I was doing was Dr. Dre. So that's when I met him, and that was probably like 2019 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I starred him for the cover, and he liked what I did, and we got on. And then not long after, I got a call from his people saying, oh, you know, Dre really enjoyed working with you. Would you consider being a stylist out here in LA? So that's how I met him. And, you know, whenever he's doing a red carpet or a big event or even personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh, no, I have a few other personal things. And
I style him, and I can't read I can't remember what that was, but he was getting an award.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's just the coolest guy. He's always on time, always texts afterwards and says thank you. And, but, you know, he likes what he likes. He's wearing
down
his
to earth.
Yeah, he's wearing his Air Force Ones, which is kind of his thing.
Yeah.
He's wearing a Tom Ford suit, which he loves. His style is kind of simple. He wears a lot of black, but actually he's not wearing black in that picture.
Right. Yeah. Now, I do have a couple of other Dr. Dre things before I jump into another person that you've worked with. Now, when I discovered that you were a part of this, I was like, wow. I mean, the performance was amazing, but just having a piece of yours out there for the world to see because of, you know, your...
Yeah, I mean, so many millions of people see that around the world, right? So the challenge was that he always likes to wear black.
Mm-hmm.
I had to make it look... I wanted him to look kind of chic or expensive, but not try hard. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
He had a... Sorry?
Oh, I said elevated.
Yeah, elevated is the right word. And he had a lot of stuff to do. If you watch the performance, he's up the top and he's running, then he's back down on the ground floor. And anyway, so he's got to be able to move around. So this is where we landed. So he's wearing the Air Force One's mid-tops, but actually this one came undone.
Yeah. Like, you know, when they're wearing all
I
black,
saw
they're putting
that.
in work, you
I
know.
see that.
All black Air Forces is
were you
work
just
time.
were you just like shooting yourself in the foot from that?
Yeah, yeah. But then I was like, it doesn't matter. No one's looking. But yeah, it's not a great feeling. Like, shit, shoes come undone. But
Yeah.
it's just that little strap, isn't it? The jeans were Amiri, because if you get to a certain age and you put certain jeans on, you look like an old man. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the fit was good, and they were super stretch, and he could run around and do his thing. He's wearing a Tom Ford t-shirt, and that jacket is Tom Ford, but it had like a really high knitted neck on it, and I didn't like it.
It's like a bomber.
Yeah,
like a bomber neck. Was
yeah.
it like a bomber jacket before?
No, we
It
just
seems
cut the
like-
neck off. It was like a cardigan with the big cowl neck.
Oh, wow.
So we cut it off, and I don't know, just the back's knitted and the sleeves are knitted, so he's got total freedom of movement.
Mm-hmm.
But the front is leather, so you know you always want to use something that kind of works with light, that does something. It doesn't look flat on TV or whatever on stage. So it was amazing, but yeah, to be a part of that. But we also did like a stills photo shoot with all the other people that were on stage for, you know, to promote it when they actually announced it. And we did a commercial too with, you know,
Oh, yes.
Snoop and Mary J and Eminem and him. So it was pretty awesome. We did that at SoFi in the night. Do you know what I mean?
On the
It's
inside, I'm like really like,
and some of it on
yeah.
the beach. I mean, it was a huge job, and it was all top secret. And yeah, that was an amazing thing. That outfit, when I go around and I give talks and exhibitions, Dre lends me that outfit, and we kind of.
That's amazing.
I mean, essentially, it's very simple, but
It does reflect a lot of light too, so you can actually like bounces off of it, so you can see.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can anyway. I mean, it's just it's simple on purpose. It's kind of everything about it is thought through. Do you know what I mean? And he really loved it. So, and I think that you got to bear in mind. I really believe that the most important thing about clothes is how they make you feel, right?
Exactly.
So he went out thinking, oh yeah, I feel good. I can do what I've got to do, and gives him that extra little bit of confidence.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. Important.
Definitely do. All right, Jai, let's go ahead and switch it up. Now,
that's this week.
Yes. I am a big fan of my friend. So when I saw this, I was just another very elegant black that reflects, so you can see all the details and everything in it. Could you elaborate a little bit on this?
All right. Well, I'll just talk about John. Really, I met met John Legend in 2008. Had been working with a director called Anthony Mandler, who did a lot of big music videos for Rihanna and all sorts of people, kind of Jay-Z and all kinds of people. He was doing a video with John, and he said to John, "Oh, I'm working with this stylist, Dave. You should have him do your video." So they flew me to New York to do his video, and basically I've been working with him ever since. He's my longest ever consecutive client. I guess it's, what's that, like 20, 30. How many years is that?
How many years is that? From 2008 to 2023, current. Because this is one of his current. Yeah,
You're
exactly.
asking the wrong person. I'm so bad
Right
at
now,
math.
I'm just trying not to fan out, so I can't even use my math, and I'm really good at math.
How long is it?
I'd say like 12 years. 15 years. Oh my God.
15 years.
So
And
bad.
counting.
Yeah, so he's incredibly loyal, and obviously we have done a lot of stuff because I've done everything that he's done in that period of time, 15 years. So we're always trying to keep it fresh and move on a little bit and try not to do stuff that we repeat ourselves too much and all that, and keep moving, So this is for the voice. And the thing about TV is a lot of what people see is that, right? Because the camera, it's all about them talking and whatever. So it's always got to be kind of simple but interesting up here.
Yes.
And there are moments when you see them full length, and obviously the silhouette's important, and the stage is always very red and black. Yeah. So this is a designer called Bodhi, like a young-ish brand. I don't know. It was just like a playful, different way to use a tuxedo. This is the night before the finale. Monday's the performance and Tuesday's results. So
Yes.
Tuesday's the finale. So we tend to be more dressed up, and when we start the show, when we pre-record, we're casual, and then we do casual for the reality, and then we build up our dressiness till we get to the finale. So this was the night before the finale. It's quite unusual for us to do something that's kind of beaded like that, but it had a kind of weird Western vibe. That beading goes down the outside leg of the pant.
Yeah.
And that's a weird kind of like, almost like a cowboy boot from Balenciaga. So, yeah, that was a little different for us.
Now, my grandma, shout out Tutu. She's a big, big fan of yours as well. She loves the commercial of the family with the kids and the wife and the missus.
Walmart.
Yes, the Walmart commercial. She loves the Walmart
That's
commercial.
cute.
I want you guys to go onto your YouTubes and look up, his Walmart commercial that he did with the Legend family. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's kind of festive, yeah.
Yes, 'tis the season.
John's always very elegant. I've noticed. I feel like his style doesn't really waver outside of a archetype. It's
Yeah, I mean,
seems
he
very similar.
has a look, and he's in his mid-40s now, and I think that you can play around with trend much more if you're in your 20s and 30s and stuff. But we've established his style, and we've worked on that. We've grown that together over this time. So he definitely loves the suit, and it's about trying to. There's a chicness always to what he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just about trying to keep that varied but interesting, and
He's like old Hollywood classic kind of. I
Yeah.
like that.
yeah, but something is a little weird and different, hopefully sometimes. So that's that, John. Good man.
Who else we got next? Oh yes, Mr. Lionel Richie.
All right. So I met Lionel in London in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
His like tour promoter is a very famous tour promoter called Barry Marshall, and Lionel was coming into town and had to do a music video, and was asked Lionel who he should use, and Barry said, "Oh, there's this kid, Dave Thomas. You should." And I remember I'd only been styling for 5 years. No, that can't be right. I'm really bad at math. I can do clothes. Anyway, so
That's for sure.
I was still young anyway. So I did his video and we got on, and then I did a few bits for him when he was in London, and then I never heard from him again. But I moved out here, and about 8 years ago, I got a call saying, "Oh, Lionel's looking for a new stylist. He's like 2 weeks out from a tour. They had fired the stylist, and they just needed somebody to fix it in a short space of time." And they said, "Will you go to his house and meet him?" So I went to his house in Beverly Hills, and I sat in this room, which is called the Sun Room. Yeah.
Feng Shui.
And he walked in, and I hadn't said, "Oh, I'd worked with him before," or because they'd chosen me on. Basically, they'd shown him 6 like online portfolios, and he'd chosen mine, so I didn't want to mess it up.
Right.
I was just
You're there for the now, not the back then.
Yeah, so I was like, well, if he'd chosen it from my current work, right? So I was like, okay, I'll go. And he walked in, he went, "Oh, you're you." I was like, yeah.
Good memory.
And he's like, "Oh, cool, this is my problem, if you like. Do you think you can handle it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can do that." And did his band as well. And he loved it, and he was like, "Oh my God, this is great." My job really was, I was employed to get the clothes together and hand it off when they go start the tour in Canada. And he was just like, "Oh, I need you to come and see the first show." And I was like, I can't. I'm shooting a cover of GQ.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Don't worry, we'll get you back in time." So yeah, he was, and I've worked with him ever since, basically. And I've worked with him now for like 8 years, doing everything for him. But about this picture, we're in Hawaii. Just it's by total fluke that my 2 main clients ended up doing these music reality shows. So John got The Voice, and Lionel at the same time got American Idol. So just the way it happened.
Yep.
We go to Hawaii every year and do part of the show, film it there. And this was in Hawaii. I can tell you that the shoes are Prada, the pants are Valentino, the t-shirt's Tom Ford, and the shirt is Dolce & Gabbana. And he's basically dressed for the heat and
Dressed for the occasion.
dressed for Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's awesome, and he's turned out to be like one of the people I spend the most of my time with, weirdly.
Now I want to go ahead and give you your golden nuggets, because flowers, I don't believe in giving flowers. They die. Gold lasts forever. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're also sitting here with the 2023 Stylist of the Year. And the reason why I bring that up is because this gentleman here was able to present it to you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But the funny bit about that was, behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know this, he was out of town. And you asked the question of, you told me you were somewhere else, but you're here. And also, who styled you? Because I did not.
No, well, first of all, it was amazing to, like, after all of these years of styling, 'cause I think it's like 35 years I've been styling, to have that kind of recognition,
Yes.
So, but it wasn't a sure thing that I would win it. There were 3 nominees, and anyway, I did. And this is what basically happened. They asked him to present the award to me, and he wanted it to be a surprise. So he made out to me that he was going
elsewhere.
Yeah, not that for any reason. Just like, "Oh, good luck. I hope you win. I'm going on vacation, whatever." And actually, that evening of the award show, he actually texted me and said, "Oh, we're on a yacht. We're having a great time. Blah blah blah."
Yep.
So then I'm like, Because you kind of think, well, if I win, who's going to present it, and blah, blah. And I knew John was out of town as well. So I kind of decided that I wasn't going to win it, just based on that.
Bad juju.
But he was just saying that because he wanted it to be a surprise, yeah. And he presented me with the award, yeah.
It was
and
amazing.
And he styled himself.
It was an amazing surprise, and congratulations as
Thank
well,
you,
well deserved.
Thank you very much. Yeah, he's awesome.
Now, elaborate on this masterpiece right here.
Okay, so we had never met, and occasionally this magazine called Basic Magazine will call me and ask me to do covers. I don't do many editorial things anymore because I don't really have time, and if I'm going to do something, I want to give it everything. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I was kind of focused on buying a house, and they don't really pay you to do magazines. so I don't
Good
really
to know. Good to know.
So I don't really do it very often. But when they said it was him, I was like, well, that'd be interesting and different for me. You know what I mean? So I didn't have much time, but I wanted to do this kind of weird LA cowboy thing with him. And we just shot for a few hours in one day. It was awesome. He's great. And he basically, I wasn't sure, you never know because they don't know you if they're going to do what you know what your vision is or see it through, or if they're going to be tricky or be like, oh,
If they're going to be open to your your eye.
Yeah, so he was super open and he loved it and he did everything I asked of him. He was really great, really, really great.
It's good to hear because when I saw this, I was like, this is very, very sharp. And I wonder what was going through your mindset when you were putting it all together.
Well, I needed it to be, it couldn't just be clothes, right? I needed like a point of view with it. And I just wanted to do this kind of punky LA cowboy. I wanted to style him in a way that I'd never seen him before because he's a brand ambassador for a lot of really high fashion brands. And I just needed it to have a voice, just to do, like, if I'm going to do an editorial, I've got to have someone's got to kind of click in my head. Like, what's the story? Who's the character? What is it? What's the point? Not just a random bunch of clothes. You know?
Right.
So the thing I feel that tied this series together was like this, the jewelry, which is an LA designer, and the hats, which is also an LA designer, and try and just do something, and also the boots are another LA designer, and then just kind of bring that kind of LA punky cowboy
element together.
Yeah, and do something, and style him in a way you hadn't seen him. So
Amazing work. Amazing work.
Thank you.
Now this one here,
This
like
is me
I
in
said,
the gas station.
she was going to be a part of this.
That's a hideous picture. But it's fine.
She loose. I had to do this for you. One of your biggest fans, big supporters. We are always appreciative for you coming by, support, just the honest friendship that you've shown throughout the years.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's a friend.
Yes, the honest support and friendship that you've given us throughout the years and stuff like that. She was honored to receive the book so much that she took this picture, and put it inside the book that you signed
really?
for her. Yes.
I'm not from here, right?
Right.
And where I'm from, like, there's people, and you say hi on the street, and you get to know people, and there's like a sense of community or whatever. And I've had a lot of jobs, right? I've told you, I've been a toilet attendant, I've washed up in cafes, I've been a plumber, I've been a hairdresser. I happen to be a stylist right now, but the most important thing, I'm the same. I'm the same person throughout all of that.
Completely.
Right? So I just like people, and if I connect with people, I connect with people. So I look forward to my trips to the gas station, and I enjoy my friendship with her, and I follow her on Instagram, and she raised a family. They go to university. They do stuff like they go to concerts. They go to
down
the
to earth and real people.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like her, and I enjoy following her journey in her life.
The main thing I want to point out with this is how much of a human being you are, despite all the amazement in your journey and your life and everything, and just how real you are, So again, thank you, because a lot of people in these type of areas in the industry and stuff like that don't have the time or don't take the time out to just be real with another person.
Okay. I don't know.
Yours just amazing. That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like I've had I've had some success. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And with that comes things, and I have access to people that maybe some people don't. But the people that are my clients and have turned into friends are all very real people. Do you know what I mean? Decent people. I mean, I'm at the stage now where I can pick and choose who I want to work with, if you like.
Yeah.
And I've worked with people in the past that I probably wouldn't choose to work with again, but this is a really good time for me. And that if you become successful, they do say, like, if you're an arsehole, you'll become a bigger arsehole, and if you're cool, then you'll be cool, right?
Exactly.
So, hopefully I'm not an arsehole.
No, you're very cool. You're very cool.
But I don't think...
And humble.
I don't think... I love what I do, but it doesn't define me. It doesn't make me... I don't consider it a job makes you special or anything like that. I
You're
think
a special person doing that job.
Well, yeah, I think there's more important stuff, but I love what I do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that was one thing that behind the scenes that you spoke to me about. Just make sure you love what you do and put your all into it, because that's what you'll get back.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to explain to you and how I feel is like we're essentially, there's the only difference between you and I is time, because I'm older than you, and opportunity. Like, I've had more years on the planet and sought out and been offered different opportunities. But that doesn't make me better than you. It just makes me kind of older.
Wise.
We need that on a quote on a t-shirt.
Very wise. Now, what are some of the obstacles that could actually help, other stylists out there, the obstacles that you had to overcome in the industry?
I think at the beginning, there was just a kind of snobbery. It was like, who's this country kid? Do you know what I mean? Because when I started styling, the kind of kings of the business, or the kings and queens of the business, were the fashion editors, right? And if you did musicians or celebrities, you were kind of somehow second rate. Okay. But there were certain people around the time that I started to ascend that kind of knew, that kind of appreciated that actually, it was going to be, or it was important to get fashion on celebrities. So I was around for the very really beginning of that. There was this lady called Lynn Franks, and I don't know if you've ever watched Absolutely Fabulous. But anyway, it's a TV, right? So one of the characters is based on her, and she was a very famous fashion PR, and she had celebrities that she did the PR for, and she had fashion designers like Gautier and all different people, and she started kind of crossing over, putting those celebrities into those fashion designers and inviting them to the shows. Before Instagram, before the internet, fashion shows really were just fashion editors, and there's a huge snobbery whether you're like first row, second row, standing or whatever, right? So I'm 24 and I'm on the front row because I'm a fashion editor, and because the couple of years I'd been doing it, I was dressing celebrities. I was like, oh, you want to come with me? Do you know what I mean? Which was kind of quite a weird thing. So people, like, if I would turn up in Paris to Gautier and I had Boy George with me or somebody, or I took Kylie Minogue to her first fashion show in Paris, and the people at the magazines were like, who the fuck is this? You know what I mean? With these dreadful people. And so there was kind of snobbery, you know what I mean? I used to get hate mail at Esquire.
Really?
Yeah. And like you could imagine like a fashion show in Paris with those kind of gold chairs, and it has your name on it.
Yes.
Like I would arrive late and there'd be all shit written on my thing. Yeah. Because I hadn't been to college, I wasn't educated in their view. Do you know what I mean? I talked a bit like a farmer, and I hung out with celebrities. They didn't like it. Anyway, so that was the first thing, and I didn't care.
In a lot of situations, hard work beats smart work.
Yeah, I just stuck with it. Do you know what I mean? I think like if I didn't have money, I would. If I couldn't make enough money doing that, I would make money elsewhere. That's kind of how I started. I mean, I guess that was a disadvantage for me, that no one was supporting me. I had to do it on myself, but I didn't. I was fine with that. I was used to hard work because I worked on a building site. So. I don't know. I think just being around the the people at that time, they were so entitled, and they'd been to St. Martin's or the fancy college, and they just thought it was theirs, right? And I could see that they were terrible with budgets, or they were rude and mean to people, that they were late, and they were difficult to work with.
Right.
So I kind of figured out if I could be on time and not be difficult to work with and handle the budget properly and be reliable and
Have common courtesy.
yeah, I could learn the rest. I knew I wasn't the most creative at the beginning. I didn't know much at all. But
It was the hard worker.
yeah, right. And that, you know, and I was consistent. And I think that's what helped my career go on, because basically you need repeat business and you need recommendation. So
Right.
like every job you do is like you're interviewing for your next job. There's all kinds of people around that you may or may not realize that they're, you know, there might be a management company that's working after the artist that you're working for, but they might have somebody else that they'll think, oh, he'd be good, or the director or the record company. And there's all sorts of people involved that could take you somewhere else, but if they like the way that you operate, right? So, I mean, it wasn't that hard.
Sound like being yourself.
I'm behind the desk, like.
Sounds
my
like
God.
being yourself is the best thing to be in this situation, in all situations.
Okay, I think let's talk about how it goes wrong for people. I think that they if they kind of start to believe their own hype or think that they're the artist, like I need a special parking space, I can't fly unless I fly with the artist first class, or they want kind of special treatment, or they need special food, or I don't know, or they start to overbook themselves because if you do an artist that's successful or something and other people want you, and you take on too much, and then they have an army of assistants and they end up not actually being present everywhere, and it kind of collapses. And very often that artist or that person will say, well, if they're not going to come, I might as well just have the assistant, and you know, I won't use them anymore. So that's, I think, people go wrong. They just I try to keep it kind of small. Like my clients like me to be there, and it's actually me that picks out the clothes, and I'll be there on the shoot if possible. There are moments when John and Lionel are doing something on the same day, but John, we've been doing it together for so long. He's kind of
It's
cool.
like clockwork. with
Yeah,
you guys.
he likes to do stuff on, you know, like I'll prepare the clothes and he'll take care of it. I don't travel with him. But people go wrong when they kind of overextend themselves, I think, because it's a service we're providing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Right.
And you definitely got to get your sleep to be able to give out the good service.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
thing a lot of people lack at.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't party with the client, and you.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. We're gonna party after this. But yeah. Now we're at the meat and potatoes of the podcast, which is the ending course of it, and this is literally the first one. So I would like for you to be the first person expressing yourself in a positive way to inspire the next person on this journey, because there's a lot of people that are hiding their superpowers or just having self-doubt that could actually be inspired by your story and should be inspired by your story to just keep going.
All right. Well, I think that everything that made me unpopular or not fit in at school or on the building site or when I got to London, if you like, are actually the things, they are my superpower. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, so if I, as soon as I became comfortable in myself and just, that's when everything kind of took off for me. When I stopped trying to fit in or please other people or be worried about all of that, that's when things started to happen. And I think that if you really just, if you're a decent person, then I honestly believe that good things will happen to you. Obviously, there are things out of your control, but you know, if you're going to go far, you can't do it on your own, right? You need like the goodwill of other people to help you. Like in its most simple form. Like if there's an outfit in a store, they've only got one in that size, they want to sell it, right? But if I go in and I'm like, oh, I really want to show it to, I don't know, John, and they know that I'm respectful with their product, that it'll come back on time and it won't be screwed up in the back. I mean, they'll help me out. Like, and, you know, I give everything to Lionel, and, you know, he turned up for me to do that award. He doesn't go anywhere unless he's getting an award, by the way. Do you know what I mean? So he doesn't do that. So I think that the way you treat people is super important, and the way you treat yourself is also super important. But you can't do it on your own. You need like other people to want to help you, and so then you help other people. Like I always try and help like the people that reach out to me, or somebody might say, I need something I want to try and get out something from this place or this designer, and I can't get through. Who do you know there? And we share information, and you know.
You're truly a helpful person.
If you're good, you'll work, right? You don't have to worry about other people. Like for every year I've worked, there's another year of people coming behind me. Do you know what I mean? Always. New, whether they've been to college or not, they just reach a time when they like come out, and there's always people. But I just never really give up. My book, right, for example.
Oh, yep.
That took me 17 years to finish. From the moment the King Charles asked me to do it to the moment it was published took 17 years. Because it's expensive, because it's time consuming, but also because like no one would give me a book deal, you know, and until they did. So there you go.
I mean, you brilliantly, forced it, but with all the amazing work, I don't see how it did not happen sooner.
I don't know. It happened at the right time because
Exactly.
I just kept doing it as and when I could afford the time and the money to do it, and I was just like, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. But I didn't give up. Like I didn't give up.
Once again, perseverance. Push through everything and anything, and go into everything with positivity. You put that in, that's all that'll come back.
Yeah,
I'm a big, strong believer in that, and I've said that several times, but I strongly live by that. And before we get out of here, let's go ahead and drop some of the ways that people can follow you. They can also purchase the book and everything and see what you do on a regular basis. Drop your Instagram handle and stuff like that.
My Instagram is Dave Thomas Style. My book is called Vanity Project, A Tale of Fashion and Celebrity, styled by Dave Thomas. But you can get that on Amazon or bookstores. You just put in Vanity Project Dave Thomas, it'll pop up.
Yes, and because you've been such an inspiration and a gift to me, you know me, I'm a giver. So, on behalf of myself and the Shoe Pugs here, got yourself the latest, greatest new version of the Shoe Pug sweater.
Thank you so much.
Also, this is a gift for your special individual as well.
Thank you.
You guys are always just a blessing.
Thank you.
Always a blessing, and I can't tell you thank you enough.
Oh my God, you're so welcome.
No, thank you. And I'm gonna be saying that a lot throughout the rest of this series. So yes, people like that, we are at the near, dear, and end of this. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Sbpress, and like that, we're gone.
They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out. Yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment. I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly. I had to go demonstrate.